Money is not a cold and distant master, but a faithful servant that responds to the vibration of our thoughts and words. It is not to be chased or feared, but wooed, courted like a lover with faith, gratitude, and right thinking. The universe is an invisible bank of limitless supply, and each of us holds the key to its vault in our consciousness. When we align our mind with the law of prosperity, money begins to move toward us with the same eagerness that light rushes to fill a room when the curtains are drawn aside. Most people believe that wealth comes from toil, struggle, and constant anxiety, but that is not the truth of divine supply. Money is energy, living, breathing substance, and it flows freely to those who understand its spiritual nature. It does not come to the grasping hand or the fearful heart. It comes to the soul that knows its own worth, that stands in calm assurance and declares, "I am one with abundance, and abundance is one with me." To make money love you, you must first fall in love with the idea of plenty. You must see yourself as already supplied. You must cast out every thought of lack as an uninvited guest. Poverty thinking repels prosperity just as surely as a closed door shuts out the sunlight. When you speak words of fear, "I can't afford this," "there isn't enough," "money never stays with me," you send out vibrations that command money to flee. But when you bless every dollar you have, when you give thanks even for the smallest coin, you magnetize it. Gratitude multiplies what it touches. The universe hears every word, every feeling, every silent belief. It mirrors your inner world perfectly. If you wish to change your financial life, begin by changing your conversation about money. Replace complaint with blessing. Replace fear with faith. Replace hurry with harmony. Declare daily, "Everything I desire is already mine by divine right. Money loves me, and I love money, for we are both expressions of infinite good." Speak it until you feel it until you see it. There is a law of circulation that governs all things. What you give returns to you multiplied. When you give joyfully, without fear of loss, you create a spiritual vacuum that the universe rushes to fill. The miser blocks the flow, but the giver opens the floodgates. Each generous act whispers to the universe, "I trust you," and that trust is always rewarded. Money, like love, responds to attention, respect, and appreciation. When you treat it as a divine companion, when you keep it in right relationship, neither idolized nor despised, it begins to move in harmony with your higher good. You need not chase it, you need only align with it. The secret to making money love you is not in striving, but in knowing. It is in remembering that abundance is your natural state, and that every dollar in your hand is a messenger of divine supply, eager to serve your highest purpose. Money responds to faith, gratitude, and right thinking. It is not a lifeless object, nor an indifferent force, but a living vibration that mirrors the consciousness of the one who handles it. The world has long been taught that money is material, that it is earned through sweat, struggle, and endless competition, yet this is only half of the truth. Behind every coin, behind every note, behind every opportunity, there is a spiritual principle. Money, like all substance, is governed by law, an invisible order that responds perfectly to the beliefs we hold and the emotions we project. When one understands that money is energy, and that energy obeys the vibration of thought, a great transformation begins within. The seeker ceases to beg from the world and instead begins to command through faith. Faith is the unseen magnet that draws supply from the invisible to the visible. It is not mere hope, nor wishful thinking, but a deep inner knowing that one's good is assured, no matter the appearances. When a person speaks from faith, they speak from power, for faith aligns the human mind with divine law. The one who believes in lack will continually see lack, for their belief carves out a pattern that the universe obediently fills. But the one who believes in abundance, who knows that the universe is an ever-flowing river of supply, finds that money begins to appear in natural, almost effortless ways. This is not magic, it is law. Faith changes the mental atmosphere in which you live. It transforms fear into expectancy, worry into peace, and struggle into flow. Gratitude is the twin flame of faith. Where faith calls forth the good, gratitude anchors it. To be grateful is to acknowledge that the good you seek is already here, already working on your behalf. Many souls block their own prosperity because they fail to appreciate what they already possess. They look upon their small means and say, "It is not enough." And in that moment they declare lack as their reality. Gratitude, on the other hand, multiplies what it touches. When you give thanks for every dollar, when you bless your income, no matter how modest, you magnetize increase. The vibration of gratitude is one of the highest frequencies in the universe. It opens every gate that fear has closed. The grateful heart is never poor, for it continually attracts more to be grateful for. Gratitude tells the universe, "I am ready for more," and the universe responds with generosity. Right thinking is the third pillar, and perhaps the most essential. To think rightly about money is to see it as divine substance in motion, not as something separate from God or spirit. Many have been taught that money is evil, that to desire it is unspiritual. This false teaching has caused countless people to live in unnecessary struggle, torn between their material needs and their spiritual ideals. But right thinking recognizes that money is neither good nor evil, it simply takes on the character of the one who uses it. When used with love, integrity, and purpose, money becomes a channel of blessing. When treated with fear or greed, it becomes a mirror of that disorder. Therefore, the secret lies not in renouncing money, but in thinking rightly about it, honoring it as part of the divine flow of life. Right thinking also requires mental discipline. The mind must be trained to reject thoughts of limitation as quickly as they arise. Every fearful thought about money sends a signal to the universe that says, "I do not trust the supply," and the universe, ever obedient, mirrors that doubt in form. But when you hold fast to thoughts of abundance, when you affirm that there is always enough, that money comes easily and rightfully, you begin to live under a new law. Your outer world rearranges itself to reflect your inner certainty. Opportunities appear, doors open, and circumstances align in ways that logic alone cannot explain. The one who practices right thinking walks through life as though surrounded by invisible wealth, confident that whatever is needed will appear in perfect time and order. Faith, gratitude, and right thinking are not occasional practices, they are states of being. They must be cultivated daily until they become second nature. To hold faith in times of plenty is easy, but to hold it in the shadow of lack, that is the true test. Yet it is in those moments that the power of faith is forged. The person who can bless their bills instead of fearing them, who can thank the universe for unseen provision, is the one who will see miracles unfold. Gratitude turns even challenges into stepping stones, for it keeps the vibration high and the mind clear. Right thinking ensures that no negative belief takes root long enough to bear fruit. Together, these three forces form a trinity of prosperity that cannot fail. Money is quick to respond to emotional atmosphere. When handled with resentment or desperation, it resists. When welcomed with love and confidence, it flows. To make money respond favorably, one must cleanse the inner chamber of thought from all suspicion, envy, and doubt. Envy of another's wealth sets up resistance, for it affirms that one's own supply is missing. But rejoicing in another's success opens the door to your own. The universe is impartial. It simply mirrors back the tone you set. If your thoughts about money are heavy and anxious, the flow becomes sluggish. But when your thoughts are light, joyful, and expectant, the current quickens. Money loves to move through cheerful channels. Faith, gratitude, and right thinking form a magnetic field around the individual, a spiritual atmosphere of prosperity that draws supply from all directions. Those who live in this consciousness find that money begins to seek them rather than the other way around. They attract right opportunities, right people, right timing. They no longer chase money, for they have become a center of attraction. This is the secret known to all who have mastered the spiritual laws of abundance. The outer world always bends to the inner vibration. You cannot hold thoughts of wealth and live in poverty for long, nor can you hold thoughts of lack and expect to be rich. The universe must obey the tone of your belief. Every act of faith, every word of gratitude, every moment of right thinking adds energy to the invisible bank account of your consciousness. Withdrawals in the form of prosperity follow naturally, without strain or struggle. It is not the outer conditions that matter, but the inner conviction. The one who knows their wealth is secure, in the mind of God, can rest in peace while the world frets. The one who blesses what they have will always have more to bless. The one who keeps their thoughts pure, free of fear and bitterness, will find that money becomes a joyful companion rather than a burden. Money responds unfailingly to the mind that governs it with faith, gratitude, and right thinking, and through that response, life unfolds in ever-expanding good. Abundance begins in the mind, not in labor or struggle. The outer world is only a mirror, a reflection of the inner world we continuously project through our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Every event, every condition, every financial circumstance has its roots in the garden of the mind. What we see in the material world is the harvest of what we have allowed to take root in our consciousness. Many people toil endlessly, believing that their salvation lies in longer hours, greater effort, and constant striving. Yet they find themselves weary and unrewarded because they have planted seeds of fear rather than faith. Labor without right consciousness breeds only fatigue, while inner alignment with abundance transforms even the smallest effort into fruitful results. To understand abundance, one must first understand that it is a spiritual principle, not a material one. The universe is infinitely rich, and its supply is never depleted. There is no shortage in divine mind. The only shortage exists in human belief. The person who holds thoughts of limitation and insufficiency creates a personal world of struggle, even while surrounded by the infinite. It is not the outer conditions that bind humanity. It is the invisible chains of false belief. When the mind awakens to the truth that abundance is an ever-present reality, the struggle ceases and effort becomes joy. One begins to work not from the sense of earning a living, but from the realization of expressing a divine flow. Every thought carries within it a creative vibration. Thoughts of lack, fear, or resentment send forth a signal that shapes conditions of want. Thoughts of abundance, gratitude, and confidence send forth a signal that shapes conditions of prosperity. This law operates with mathematical precision, without judgment or preference. It simply reproduces the pattern held in the mind. Therefore, to experience a world of abundance, one must first create that world inwardly. The mind must be trained to see plenty where others see scarcity, to speak blessing where others speak complaint, to feel richness even in the midst of apparent limitation. Many have been taught that the harder they work, the more they will receive. Yet labor without spiritual understanding often becomes toil without reward. There are those who labor ceaselessly and remain poor, while others, seemingly untouched by struggle, attract wealth and opportunity with ease. The difference lies in consciousness. One may plow the same field, sell the same goods, or perform the same task, but the one whose mind is filled with expectancy, confidence, and joy draws unseen forces to their aid. The universe conspires with the expectant mind, opening doors that effort alone could never unlock. The mind that dwells on difficulty magnetizes more difficulty. The mind that dwells on ease and sufficiency magnetizes support and flow. Struggle is not a sign of virtue, it is a sign of resistance. The divine plan is never one of hardship, but of harmonious expansion. When a person believes that struggle is necessary to deserve reward, they create an invisible barrier to their own prosperity. The universe gives according to belief, and if the belief is, I must suffer to succeed, then suffering will precede every success. But when the belief shifts to, I prosper easily, naturally, and joyfully, then ease becomes the law. The conditions change because the mind has changed its instruction to the creative power that shapes all experience. To live abundantly, one must think abundantly. This means not only believing that supply exists, but knowing that one is worthy of it. Many secretly reject abundance because they do not feel deserving. They look upon wealth as something reserved for others, or they cling to guilt taught by old beliefs that equate prosperity with selfishness. But divine abundance is not personal, it is universal. It is meant to flow through every life, through every channel willing to receive it. Refusing abundance does not serve the world, it only damps the light that might have blessed others. When one accepts abundance as a divine inheritance, they become a conduit for the greater good. Their prosperity blesses all who come within their sphere. The mind must also release attachment to appearances. There may be times when the outer situation looks barren, when opportunities seem closed and resources few. Yet in truth, these are only shadows cast by old thoughts. To give power to appearances is to give power to illusion. The wise one holds their vision steady, declaring that abundance is already working behind the scenes. They understand that every apparent lack is only a temporary manifestation of an untransformed idea. When the idea is changed, the condition must change. Faith in the unseen is the bridge between idea and manifestation. Abundance is a state of consciousness where worry cannot dwell. It is calm assurance that all is unfolding in divine order. It is the knowing that the same intelligence that guides the stars also governs one's affairs with precision. When the mind is filled with this assurance, effort becomes an expression of joy rather than fear. The individual no longer works to earn or to accumulate, but to create, to share, to express the infinite. Work done from this consciousness carries a different vibration. It becomes magnetic. It attracts cooperation, opportunity, and increase, because it is done in alignment with the natural rhythm of the universe. There is also a sacred rhythm to receiving. Many struggle to attract abundance but resist receiving it fully. They speak of wanting prosperity but secretly believe that taking in too much will deprive someone else. Yet the universe is inexhaustible. The law of abundance is circulation, not competition. There is more than enough for all, and in receiving joyfully, one affirms the truth of that law. Refusal to receive interrupts the flow as surely as refusal to give. When the mind understands that receiving is as holy as giving, the flow becomes complete. Every gift, taken in with gratitude, multiplies itself and returns to the source, enriched. Abundance begins in the quiet moments of thought. It begins when one awakens in the morning and blesses the day ahead, when one looks upon their surroundings with appreciation, when one gives thanks before there is visible evidence to warrant it. It begins when one replaces complaint with praise and fear with trust. Each thought of abundance plants a seed that must bear fruit in due season. There is no effort wasted when the soil of the mind is kept fertile with gratitude and watered with faith. Those who understand the inner laws of supply know that action follows thought as shadow follows form. They act not in haste but in harmony. Their steps are guided by intuition rather than anxiety. They may labor, but their labor is light, for it is aligned with the rhythm of divine order. Every task becomes a prayer in motion, every transaction a silent affirmation of plenty. They see money not as the cause of abundance, but as one of its natural expressions. True abundance manifests in ideas, opportunities, relationships, peace of mind, and the quiet assurance that there is always enough. In this consciousness, abundance ceases to be something to acquire and becomes something to allow. The struggle ends because resistance has ended. The mind has stopped fighting the current and has begun to flow with it. Life begins to unfold with ease, not because effort has disappeared, but because effort is now infused with understanding. The same energy once spent in anxiety is now spent in creativity. The same mind once occupied with worry is now open to inspiration. Through this shift in awareness, abundance reveals itself as the ever-present reality it has always been, waiting only for recognition. Words and thoughts of lack repel prosperity. Every word spoken, every thought entertained, sends out a vibration that draws to it its own kind. The universe listens not to what we desire, but to what we believe and declare. When we speak of lack, we affirm it. When we think of scarcity, we build its structure around us. The invisible law that governs all creation does not discriminate between wanted and unwanted thoughts. It simply reproduces what it receives. To speak of need is to summon more need. To dwell on shortage is to create more shortage. The law is precise, and it cannot be fooled by outer appearances or momentary affirmations that are not backed by belief. It acts upon the tone and feeling behind every word. Those who live in constant complaint about money, work, or opportunity unknowingly weave a net that catches only limitation. Words such as "I can't afford it," "money never stays with me," or "nothing ever works out" are not harmless expressions. They are commands to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind obeys without argument. It builds experiences to match the pattern it is given. In this way, many people talk themselves out of prosperity long before it has a chance to reach them. The power of the spoken word is absolute within the realm of thought creation. What we declare consistently becomes the mold into which life pours its substance. To change outer conditions, one must first master the inner language of the mind. This means watching each thought as a sentinel watches a gate. When a thought of lack appears, it must be denied entry. When a word of limitation rises to the lips, it must be replaced by its opposite. The mind must be trained to speak abundance as naturally as it once spoke want. Instead of saying, "I don't have enough," one must learn to say, "Everything I need is being provided." Instead of saying, "I can't see a way," one must affirm, "Infinite intelligence opens the way before me." These words are not empty phrases. They are vibrations that reshape the unseen substance of life. The more they are spoken with feeling, the quicker they manifest in form. Thoughts of lack not only repel prosperity, but also darken the mental atmosphere. They create tension, anxiety, and fear, which are incompatible with the free flow of abundance. Prosperity is a vibration of ease, confidence, and joy. When the mind is heavy with worry, it shuts the door through which supply enters. Fear clogs the channels of reception. The one who constantly fears bills, who dreads expenses, who worries about loss, holds money at a distance. Money, being energy, is attracted to harmony and repelled by discord. It moves naturally toward the consciousness that welcomes it with peace and appreciation. To reverse this condition, one must begin to cultivate thoughts of sufficiency in every area of life. Even if the outer situation appears empty, one must speak as though fullness were already present. Every object, every dollar, every opportunity should be blessed with gratitude. The act of blessing lifts the vibration and clears the way for increase. When you hold a bill in your hand and say, "You represent divine circulation, and I rejoice in the good you bring," you change the magnetic charge of that experience. Instead of dread, there is expectancy. Instead of resistance, there is cooperation. The universe hears the new vibration and responds accordingly. The mind that has been trained to think in terms of lack must undergo re-education. It must unlearn habits formed through years of fear and imitation. Society often teaches that scarcity is normal, that struggle is necessary, and that only a few are destined for wealth. These beliefs are false patterns, impressed upon consciousness by repetition. To free oneself, one must consciously refuse to repeat them. Every time a negative word is spoken, it reinforces the old mold. Every time a positive word is spoken with faith, it weakens the old and strengthens the new. This process requires patience and vigilance, for the tongue has long been accustomed to speaking what the eyes see. Yet the law of mind works from the unseen to the seen, not the reverse. One must learn to speak what one desires before it becomes visible. Words of abundance are seeds, and like all seeds, they require consistent care. They must be planted in fertile soil, the soil of belief. If the words are spoken without conviction, they will not take root deeply. Therefore, it is essential to feel the truth of what is spoken. Feelings are the water that nourishes the seeds of words. When one says, "I am surrounded by prosperity," and truly feels the peace of that statement, the subconscious accepts it as fact. Then the law of attraction begins its silent work. gathering experiences, people, and opportunities that match the vibration. Every person carries an atmosphere that mirrors their habitual thinking. Those who constantly speak of shortage often find themselves surrounded by delay, obstacles, and disappointment. Those who speak of abundance walk through life with a kind of invisible magnetism. Things seem to unfold easily for them. This is not luck. It is the direct response of the universal law to their inner tone. Prosperity consciousness radiates calm assurance, while poverty consciousness emits restless energy. The universe, in its perfect harmony, cannot deliver abundance to a mind tuned to lack. One must also be careful about the company one keeps, for words of lack are contagious. Conversations filled with complaint, gossip, and fear lower the vibration of all who participate. To guard one's prosperity consciousness, it is sometimes necessary to withdraw from such atmospheres, to remain silent when others speak of misfortune, and to silently affirm truth in the face of error. The mind must remain loyal to abundance even when surrounded by contradiction. The one who can keep their inner vision steady amidst the world's noise becomes a beacon that attracts greater good. Every thought and word forms a pattern in the invisible substance of the universe. These patterns join together to form conditions. Therefore, each day offers the sacred opportunity to shape one's world anew. When you awaken, your first thoughts set the tone for the day. If they are thoughts of worry or lack, the day unfolds accordingly. But if they are thoughts of gratitude, confidence, and expectancy, the day arranges itself in harmony. The discipline of starting each day with abundant thoughts gradually reprograms the subconscious mind. In time, positive speech becomes spontaneous, and prosperity becomes natural. It is not enough to occasionally affirm abundance. One must live in it mentally. The spoken word must become a habit, a steady rhythm that harmonizes the mind with the vibration of plenty. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford that," correct it immediately with, "That is easily within my reach through divine supply." When you think, "There isn't enough time," replace it with, "Time expands to meet my needs." Each correction weakens the pattern of limitation and strengthens the pattern of abundance. Over time, these small adjustments build a new consciousness, and that consciousness draws new experiences. Words of faith have creative power beyond imagination. They can turn lack into plenty, confusion into clarity, and delay into fulfillment. Every great transformation begins with a single declaration, spoken with belief. When one begins to speak abundance with conviction, even before outer proof appears, the entire universe begins to rearrange itself to match the vibration of that declaration. What once seemed far and difficult begins to move nearer, for life itself is compelled to obey the command of the dominant thought. The mind that consistently speaks lack remains chained to it. The mind that consistently speaks abundance rises into freedom. Words are the bridges between thought and manifestation. They are the tools through which spirit molds matter. Each time one speaks of wealth, peace, and sufficiency, one steps closer to their reality. Each time one speaks of need, one steps further away. The wise therefore guard their words as sacred instruments, knowing that within each utterance lies the seed of the world to come. Giving and gratitude open the flow of wealth. The law of circulation governs all of life, and just as the blood must move freely through the body to sustain health, so must wealth move freely through the channels of giving and receiving to sustain prosperity. When one clutches too tightly to what they have, fear builds a dam within consciousness, blocking the natural current of increase. But when one gives with a spirit of joy, knowing that the universe is abundant and unceasing in its supply, the current flows back multiplied. Giving is not loss, it is circulation, the sacred rhythm through which abundance breathes. Everything that is withheld stagnates, and everything that is shared expands. Gratitude is the invisible companion of giving, the inner vibration that keeps the current pure and strong. To give without gratitude is to give mechanically, and the result is empty. To give with true appreciation for the privilege of sharing activates the highest law of increase. Gratitude magnifies all it touches, for it sends out a clear signal to the universe that says, "I recognize the good in this moment, and I am ready for more. Every act of thanksgiving expands the space in consciousness through which more blessings can enter. It is not the amount of the gift that matters, but the vibration behind it. A coin given in joy is of greater spiritual power than a fortune given in resentment. Many people fear giving because they believe that what leaves their hand will not return. They give only when they feel safe, and so they rarely feel safe at all. But giving is not a subtraction, it is an investment in the divine economy. Each time you give freely, you affirm that you live in an abundant universe. You declare that you trust the invisible law more than appearances. That declaration alone sets forces in motion that cannot fail to bring return. The mind that gives fearfully closes the door it tries to open, while the mind that gives confidently opens every door before it. To give in faith is to acknowledge that supply is infinite, that every good act multiplies itself as surely as a seed multiplies when sown in fertile soil. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into golden ones. It transforms even the smallest gift into a channel for divine increase. When you give thanks for the money you have, however small, you align yourself with the vibration of wealth. When you give thanks for opportunities, you prepare the way for greater ones. Gratitude is the language of expansion. It keeps consciousness in harmony with divine order. When you bless your possessions, your income, and your circumstances, you infuse them with spiritual vitality. They begin to grow, for life responds to appreciation. Nothing flourishes under complaint or criticism. Everything blooms under blessing. The miser, who hoards for fear of losing, lives in the shadow of his own belief in scarcity. Though he may possess riches, he experiences none of the peace they promise. His wealth becomes a burden because it is not in circulation. The generous soul, even with little, feels rich because giving connects them to the source of all abundance. Through giving, one recognizes the truth that they are never separate from supply. Every act of generosity affirms unity with the infinite. In giving, one steps into the divine rhythm, where increase is natural and effortless. There are many forms of giving: money, time, service, encouragement, kindness, understanding. The universe recognizes all as currency. Whatever you give with love carries your spiritual signature and returns to you in perfect measure. Some give money but withhold goodwill. Others give service but withhold joy. True giving involves the whole heart, not merely the gesture. When giving is inspired by love rather than duty, it becomes magnetic. The energy released through such giving is creative. It attracts opportunities, allies, and unexpected blessings. To cultivate this consciousness, one must give even in small ways, for practice strengthens the faith. Begin where you are, with what you have. Give a word of kindness, a moment of attention, a silent blessing to someone in need. Each act adds to the current of good flowing through your life. As you give, say within yourself, "This gift returns to me multiplied, for it is part of divine circulation." Do not look to the person or channel through which you gave for your return. Look to the universe itself, which never fails to balance every account. The source is infinite and its timing perfect. Gratitude also heals the mind from the poison of comparison. When you give thanks for what is yours, you stop measuring your worth against others. You step out of competition and into cooperation with divine order. Comparison breeds lack, while gratitude breeds sufficiency. The grateful mind knows that what it has is right for now, and that what is coming will be even greater. This calm assurance keeps the flow of supply unobstructed. To be ungrateful is to tighten the flow. To be thankful is to open it wide. Every time you give thanks, you expand your capacity to receive. Giving and gratitude are the twin doors through which prosperity enters. One opens the outward flow, the other the inward. Without giving, one becomes stagnant. Without gratitude, one becomes blind to blessings. Together, they create a perfect circle of increase. The giving hand is never empty because it is connected to an infinite source. The grateful heart is never in want because it sees abundance everywhere. Each supports the other. Gratitude inspires giving, and giving deepens gratitude. It is also important to give without expectation. When giving is tied to personal gain, it loses its purity. True giving trusts the law of return without dictating its form. The blessing may return as money, opportunity, friendship, or peace of mind. The form is secondary, the substance is assured. When you give and let go, you demonstrate mastery of the law. You show that your trust lies not in appearances but in the invisible harmony of divine circulation. Gratitude, too, must be practiced in both light and shadow. It is easy to be thankful for abundance when all is well, but gratitude in moments of challenge carries the greatest power. When one can bless the lesson hidden within loss, when one can thank the universe even while doors appear closed, the vibration of faith rises to its highest point. That vibration dissolves obstacles and attracts new channels of good. Gratitude in adversity is a signal of unshakable trust, and the universe answers such trust with increase. Every thought of appreciation adds substance to the invisible storehouse of supply. Every word of thanks sends a ripple through the unseen that eventually returns in visible form. Life is always listening for signals of recognition. The one who acknowledges good finds more good to acknowledge. The one who overlooks blessings finds fewer to notice. Conscious gratitude transforms the mind into a magnet for miracles, for it aligns human thought with divine order. There is a secret rhythm in the act of giving. It is the same rhythm that moves the tides and circulates the stars. When you give, you participate in that rhythm. You become a co-creator with life itself. The moment you release a gift, the universe moves to fill the space you have opened. This is why generous souls never lack. They live in a continuous stream of exchange, always receiving, always sharing, always expanding. Their wealth may not always appear in numbers, yet their lives overflow with peace, joy, and fulfillment. To live by the law of giving and gratitude is to live in harmony with the nature of reality. Everything in the universe gives of itself. The sun gives light, the earth gives food, the trees give oxygen. The rhythm of existence is generosity. Only humanity, through fear, interrupts the flow. When the heart reawakens to the divine pattern of giving, life begins to move smoothly once more. The barriers of want dissolve because the energy of love, which is the essence of giving, restores balance to all things. Gratitude is the recognition that every breath, every moment, every resource is a gift of life itself. It turns ordinary experience into a sacred exchange between self and universe. When gratitude fills the heart, giving becomes a joy rather than a duty. One no longer gives to get, but gives because the flow of life within is too full to contain. That overflowing consciousness is true prosperity, and through it the doors of infinite supply remain forever open. Money thrives in harmony, trust, and divine alignment. It is not a force to be manipulated, controlled, or coerced, but a living current that responds to the tone of the consciousness that directs it. Just as water seeks balance and flow, so does money move toward minds that are calm, trusting, and aligned with right purpose. When the heart is at peace and the thoughts are clear, money comes naturally, easily, and often in unexpected ways. When the mind is filled with fear, tension, or distrust, money becomes elusive, for it cannot dwell in confusion. Harmony is the atmosphere in which prosperity breathes freely, and trust is the magnetic current that holds it near. Harmony begins within the individual. The one who is at war with themselves, divided between desire and doubt, faith and fear, creates a vibration of discord that repels the flow of supply. The universe reflects the inner state perfectly. No one can live in inner conflict and expect outer abundance. Money, being energy, mirrors the energy that surrounds it. When handled with anxiety, it carries anxiety back. When approached with calm and gratitude, it multiplies with grace. Therefore, the first work of prosperity is to establish harmony in thought and feeling. Peace of mind is the soil from which true wealth grows. Harmony is not created by external control, but by inner alignment. It is not the absence of movement, but the presence of balance. When one lives in harmony with divine law, there is no strain, no struggle, no haste. The individual moves through life as the river moves to the sea, steady, assured, unresisting. Every action becomes inspired rather than forced, every decision guided by intuition rather than fear. In this state, the channels of supply open wide, because there is no resistance. Money flows toward harmony as naturally as light flows toward clarity. Trust is the key that keeps the flow open. Many people destroy their own prosperity by doubting the very law that would serve them. They pray for abundance and then worry that it will not come. They take a step in faith and then look back in fear. This constant wavering confuses the creative forces of the universe. The law responds to conviction, not uncertainty. Trust is the quiet knowing that divine supply never fails. It is the deep inner assurance that what is needed will appear, often in ways beyond human reasoning. The trusting soul rests in calm expectancy, knowing that every need is already met in the unseen and will reveal itself in perfect time. To live in trust is to refuse fear a home. It means replacing every anxious thought about money with an affirmation of faith. When expenses arise unexpectedly, the trusting mind does not panic but declares, "Divine supply meets this need easily." When an opportunity seems delayed, the trusting heart says, "The perfect time and the perfect way are unfolding." Such trust keeps the vibration steady and open, allowing the universe to fulfill its promise. Fear closes the door, faith keeps it open. Money, like a sensitive guest, will not linger in a house filled with fear, but it feels welcome in the home of trust. Divine alignment is the highest form of harmony. It means being attuned to the purpose of the soul and allowing every aspect of life, including financial matters, to express that purpose. When money serves a divine idea, it flows effortlessly. When it is sought only for selfish ends, the flow becomes erratic. Alignment means knowing that money is a tool of expression for the divine good within you. It is meant to serve creation, not domination. When your motives are pure, when your actions spring from love rather than greed, you place yourself in the center of divine order, and in that place, prosperity is inevitable. Many attempt to force wealth through manipulation or competition, believing that success depends on outsmarting others. Yet all such efforts are rooted in separation and fear. True prosperity cannot be taken. It must be received through alignment. Divine alignment recognizes that what is yours cannot be withheld, and what is not yours will never bring peace. In this consciousness, there is no envy, no rivalry, no strain. You rejoice in another's success because you understand that their gain affirms the abundance that surrounds all. This state of mind dissolves competition and replaces it with cooperation, and from that harmony, new channels of wealth open. Money thrives in order, and order is the outer expression of harmony. To live in disorder, financial, emotional, or mental, is to create confusion in the current of supply. When the physical space is cluttered, when debts are ignored, when promises are broken, the energy of money becomes restless. To restore the flow, one must bring order to all areas of life. Pay debts joyfully, not with resentment. Honor commitments with integrity. Keep your surroundings clean and your affairs transparent. These outer acts of order are reflections of inner alignment, and they send a message to the universe that you are ready for greater responsibility. Harmony also extends to the way one uses money. Every dollar spent carries energy. When money is spent in bitterness or fear, it returns the same vibration. When spent with joy, it returns multiplied. To bless each payment and purchase is to sanctify the flow. Say within yourself, "This money blesses all it touches and returns to me in perfect increase." In this way, every transaction becomes an act of spiritual harmony. Money moves with grace where gratitude and joy accompany its use. Trust and alignment must also guide the timing of action. Many people, impatient for results, rush into ventures without inner peace, driven by fear of missing opportunity. But divine timing never rushes. When one acts in trust, every move feels guided, every step supported. Even apparent delays carry purpose, preparing unseen channels for greater good. The impatient mind sees only obstacles. The trusting mind sees divine orchestration. This calm awareness keeps the vibration pure and prevents wasted effort. Prosperity unfolds best in the atmosphere of still confidence, not restless striving. When money is handled from the consciousness of divine alignment, it ceases to be a source of anxiety and becomes a partner in creation. It flows where purpose calls it. It appears for the fulfillment of good ideas, for service, for joy, for beauty. It becomes a companion to the soul rather than a taskmaster of the ego. In this relationship there is freedom. Money comes and goes without fear, because one knows the source is infinite. You no longer identify with possession or loss, for you understand that the real wealth lies in the connection to divine supply. Harmony, trust, and alignment also transform one's relationship with others in financial matters. When dealing with people, fairness and goodwill preserve the flow of prosperity. To cheat or take advantage, even in small things, is to create discord that eventually disrupts one's own abundance. Money gained through dishonesty carries the vibration of loss, for it violates divine law. But money earned and shared through integrity multiplies because it is in tune with truth. Every act of fairness reinforces harmony, and harmony attracts more good. The consciousness of harmony is cultivated through daily practice. It is not reached through a single meditation or affirmation, but through a consistent choice to remain centered in peace. Each time a challenge arises, one must choose harmony over reaction, trust over fear, alignment over control. This continuous choice shapes a magnetic field around the individual, a silent radiance that draws supply, opportunity, and favor from all directions. In this state, you no longer chase prosperity. It comes to you, guided by the vibration of your peace. Money, when approached in this spirit, becomes a sacred expression of divine intelligence. It no longer belongs to the realm of struggle, but to the realm of flow. It responds like music to harmony, like a tide to the moon. When you are in tune with your highest self, you are also in tune with the rhythm of abundance. In that rhythm, there is no lack, no tension, no separation. Everything moves in perfect order, every need is met, every resource appears when required. This is the natural state of divine supply, and money, being part of that law, thrives wherever harmony, trust, and alignment prevail.